What is going on? What is happening? Welcome back to Midway Vibes Chinwag podcast. I'm so excited to be back. I'm so excited to get this thing rolling and on the road again because it has been long awaited, because I get a lot of fulfillment, a lot of excitement, a lot of joy doing these podcasts. But sometimes you get caught up in life. Sometimes you get caught up in that motion. You get caught up in that hamster wheel of doing things that you don't really find enjoyment out of. You're doing things because you have to do them, but you're not really happy doing them, and that's where I found myself. And it felt like it was impossible to make time for the things that I wanted to do. That's the boat I was in, and I was only originally supposed to take like a 6-week podcast break, but that 6-week podcast break turned into a lot longer than 6 weeks. And in a sense, you could say like I was going through it because I was struggling with finding time for myself, living life on my terms. I felt like the goals that I had, I wasn't achieving them. And it was honestly, it wasn't the best state to be in because you start having that self-doubt. You start telling yourself negative things, and it's so easy to tell yourself negative things. It's so easy to start telling yourself you're not good enough, there's not enough time, look, like you don't have enough resources. Like, it's so easy to tell yourself these things. Like, I know I was telling myself these things like constantly, like daily. And it's not that I didn't have enough time because we all have the same 24 hours, but it's how we use the 24 hours that changes it, So I was obviously using my 24 hours irresponsibly, Instead of getting some work done, I'd be scrolling on TikTok. I'd be on Instagram. And it's not like I was unproductive, like I was posting stuff. I was just scrolling hours on TikTok, watching Netflix. And I caught myself doing these things, but yet I didn't make a change to stop. I didn't be like, hey, well, I know I'm watching 2 hours of Netflix. I know I'm on TikTok for an hour. I know I'm on Instagram for an hour. But I'm not making any changes to stop. I just continue doing the habits that were causing me to not be successful in the things that I wanted to be successful in, And it was honestly, it was weird because I was like, well, I say I want my goals, but at the same time I'm doing these things that aren't really leading me towards my goals. And it's like our choices that we make today, our choices that we made yesterday is what's going to affect our tomorrow, what's going to affect next week, next month. And what are the choices that we're making now? Are we making choices that are going to lead us to our ultimate lifestyle, living life on our terms as our true self? Because I know whenever I was in that negative state, just not feeling it, I wasn't making those choices to lead me in that right direction. And it was kind of like, I was like, well, I got to the point where I was like, well, I want to change. I need to get the change going. I need to get back on my road because it's kind of like a thermostat. So if you have a thermostat that's set at 71 and it starts heating up, the room starts heating up and it goes to 73, it's going to be like, okay, well, this is cool. I'm fine with 73. 74 is going to start, what you doing at 74? Then you get to 79, the thermostat's going to start bringing you down. It's going to be like, come back down. It starts cranking on. It starts sending air out. It starts doing its job to bring you down to 71. And if you drop to 69, the room gets a little bit too cold. The room's like, hey, this is a little bit too cold for comfort. We got to bring you back up here. You don't belong to 63. You don't belong to 59 degrees. You belong up here to 71. You're a 71 degree room. That's kind of how our life is. We have this identity that we have for ourselves, that we tell ourselves. Maybe it's not a positive identity. It's I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So when you start doing things, and maybe you are good enough, and you probably are good enough to do those things, but you start doing them, and you start doing great because you are good at doing those things, but you have this identity that's not positive, and you tell yourself, I can't do these things. I'm not good enough. So you unconsciously start self-sabotaging yourself. Because I know I did that. I found myself doing that. I found myself telling, well, I want to reach these goals, but I make these decisions that aren't leading me towards my goals. So I'm like self-sabotaging myself. Got to the point where I was like, enough is enough. You have to make a change. And I didn't exactly know what that change was because I had an idea of what the change was, but I was like, I've already had these ideas of the changes and I haven't been making them. I've been doing the opposite, matter of fact. So I had to think of something smaller. I had to take a smaller step. And there's nothing wrong with taking small steps. Let me tell you what, because when you climb a ladder, when you're going up a stairs, the steps are not huge. If they were huge, you'd never be able to start. You got to take small steps. And I think that's what I was doing. I was setting goals it's good to have goals that scare you, but I think my goals were a little bit unrealistic. I had to take a couple steps back and be like, well, what do I really want to do? Okay, I have what I really want to do. Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to achieve this? Who will I become? Why will I feel good once I achieve this? And then after I had my what and why, I had to be, what am I going to do to actually achieve it, Because I wasn't planning out my goals, like what I was going to do to achieve it. I just had my big goal. But then whenever I had downtime, I'd get on Instagram, I'd get on TikTok, I'd get on Netflix because I didn't have anything planned. I didn't have nothing set written out, you know. But whenever you're trying to set your goals, you're trying to take that first little step. I want to tell you that you write your goals down. Write them down and be like, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 2 months. Write it down. I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 2 months. I want to save $200 in the next month. I want to save $20 in the next 2 months. Write it all down, because when you write it down, you're sending all these chemical like neurons to your brain, and it's telling your brain that, hey, this is real. It's not just a thought. It's not just a thought anymore. We have millions of thoughts a day and we forget half of them, more than half. But whenever you write it down, it's no longer just a thought. You're writing it down. You're putting it in pencil and paper. You're putting it into the universe that this is going to happen. This is going to happen. You have to have your goal. Start off with a small goal. You know, there's nothing wrong with starting off small. It's essential to start off small, matter of fact. You have to take those small steps in order to get to the top. When you climb the ladder, you climb the stairs, are small steps, and then you get to the top. That's exactly how it is with your goals. And you know, whenever you're doing it, maybe you're setting goals for your day. Maybe you're setting a goal for your day. Planning your goals is what turn your goals into your reality, because say you're planning goals for the day and you want to lose some weight. Say you want to lose 20 pounds in 2 months. In order to do that, you have to plan it. What am I going to do? I'm going to drink half a gallon of water a day. I'm going to eat 2 healthy meals a day. I'm going to sleep 6 hours a day, and I'm going to work out for 20 minutes a day. If you plan it out and say, well, I have to drink half a gallon a day no matter what. I have to eat 2 healthy meals, and if you plan that out, you'll make your meals prior to the day coming. So whenever you're in town and you're feeling hungry, you won't be like, well, I gotta go to Whataburger because I'm hungry. Nah, you got your chicken already. You got your healthy meal that you already planned out. So it helps you. It takes your goals from just being a goal, and it takes it to that next level. It's what helped me turn from, well, I will have my goals, but I'm over here scrolling through TikTok. You know, whenever I planned it out because I always said I want to jump back on my podcast, but I never planned it out. I planned it out for 6 weeks. 6 weeks came around and nothing happened. I was like, well, I'll start on Monday. You know what happened? Another Monday came around and I didn't start. And I was like, well, I'll start on next Monday. Another Monday came around and I didn't start. I kept lying to myself. You know, I kept telling myself, well, I'll start again. And it was horrible because I was lying to myself, but yet I find myself not lying to people that I give my word to. I tell people, yeah, I'll be there. And I do whatever I can to be there. But yet I tell myself I'll be there on Monday and I'm not there on Monday. You know, we got to hold ourselves accountable. But you got to find goals that juice you up, that fire you up, that are exclusive to you, because there are going to be days that are challenging. There's going to be days that are hard, but if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And in order to get to your goal, you're going to have to change a little bit. You're going to have to change a little bit, but you're going to change for the better. And it's honestly so amazing because through the goals, you learn so much more about yourself, so much more about life, and it's a win-win. It's a 2 birds, 3 birds, 4 birds, 1 stone type of situation, you know? And when you plan out your goals, it gives you that leverage, that advancement of saying, hey, no, I already know what I'm going to do. I don't need to fall into that temptation. When there's that little temptation, you're like, no, I don't need to. I already know what I'm going to do. I have my goals planned out. And, you know, a good thing that I've really found, a tip that I've found, is instead of having a to-do list, so if you have goals for the day, instead of having like a to-do list for them, and be like, well, I got to drink half a gallon of water a day. I got to work out for 20 minutes a day. I got to eat 2 healthy meals, and I got to sleep for 6 hours. Like, what is that? Like, that shit sounds lame as fuck. A to-do list of what you got to do in order to live your ultimate lifestyle. Like, no, you got to be juiced up about your lifestyle. These are your goals. This is your life, and you should be excited. So it should be a to-done list. This is a to-done list. A to-done. T-O space D-O-N-E. To-done list. It is to-done. It's already done. I've already worked out for 20 minutes a day. I've already drank my half a gallon. I'm just doing it. I'm turning it into my reality when I do it. You got to really believe it. And you've known that you've already done it in the past. Man, it might not have been yesterday, but I'm pretty sure in the past you've drank half a gallon. You've worked out for 20 minutes a day. You've had a healthy meal. You've slept for 6 hours. You've done it in the past. You're just doing it, turning it into your reality again. You have to really believe that your goal is going to be your goal. You know, there was a time where on the 6 weeks, like, I knew I was going to start podcasting, but I didn't really believe it. Like, I knew I would start it eventually, but I didn't believe that I would start it because I felt so caught up in life. I felt caught up in the hamster wheel. And it was just like, well, I know I'm going to start it, but I didn't believe I was going to start it. And, you know, the past 2-3 weeks, I've really gotten on my tail because I had a quad injury. I actually strained both my quads. It was actually pretty bad for, like, the first week. I couldn't really move. But during that time, like, I really felt gifted, guided, and grounded. And I was really... My mom, shout out my mom, she put me on. She was like, hey, have you like done your RPMs? Have you mapped out your week? Have you mapped out your month? Have you been on top of your goals? And I was like, nah, I haven't. So I did it because I felt like I didn't have any time. I was like, well, I'm working in construction, I have no time. I'm injured. I'm on the couch. I literally can't do nothing. I have all the time in the world. I started doing my stuff. I got back on my grind, and I was like, hey, I can do this. I set goals for myself, and I believe the goals. I believe that I could do a podcast. I believe that I could start doing the things that I wanted to do again, that made me happy again. I believed it inside. I believed that I could start the podcast. I believed that I could start impacting people. I believed it. And it started with the little steps. It started with believing. It started with the little step of believing. And then it started with the little step of planning out the podcast. When am I going to shoot the podcast? How long is the podcast going to be? Is it going to be by myself? Am I going to include someone? You got to plan out the details. You got to be very specific. And that's what takes having your goal and actually having it to your reality. It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing great happens overnight. But the process is going to be so amazing. You're going to learn so much. You're going to grow so much. And then you're going to get there and you're going to feel so fulfilled. You're going to feel achieved that you grew so much. You're going to feel fulfilled that you actually did something that you wanted to do for yourself. Like, those are two feelings that are almost, you can't compare those feelings. They're one of the highest feelings up there. And it feels so amazing. And I know when you're in that negative state, that down state, when you're not really feeling yourself, it's hard. It's hard to hold yourself accountable. It's hard to be like, well, I got my goals, I want to achieve them. It's hard. You feel like you're caught up in the hamster wheel. And we often get caught up in telling ourselves these lies. We tell ourselves these lies that just really hold ourselves back. And I heard this story one time about the circus elephant. I had a really good friend, honestly, like a brother, tell me this story. And I want to share it with you guys because it was really impactful. But it was the circus elephant. And the elephant is one of the biggest animals in the planet. It's one of the strongest animals on the planet. But whenever it's on the circus, it's tied by a rope to a pole that is just stuck in the ground. That an elephant could easily pull. The elephant could easily pull in a blink of an eye if he wanted to. And he could walk away. And if, in all honesty, he could destroy the whole circus and run and be free. Live as his true self. Live in the wild. Live life on his terms. Eat all the grass that he wants. Live life free. But he can't, because he's tied down to one rope that's stuck in the ground that even a human could pull out. And it's crazy because the elephant feels trapped by a rope that is so small that he believes that the rope was holding him back from his ultimate lifestyle. Something so small, so inconvenient, that if the elephant really tapped into himself and he tapped into his true self, into his senses, and he said, hey, I'm a fucking elephant, I'm unstoppable, I can do anything I want, and he left, he would take the whole circus with him. And no one could stop him because he's unstoppable. And that's just how we are. Oftentimes we get so caught up in a lie that we tell ourselves or that someone told us that we believed. And it's so irrelevant, it's so small. And in reality, we could destroy it. We could go out and we could live life as our true self. Live life on our terms. Live life free. Do the things that we want to do. But we get so caught up in the lies. We get so caught up in the negative state. And I know how easy it is to get caught up in that state because I was in that state as well. I was in that state and I felt like it was it. I felt like I couldn't take another step forward. So I've created a short, impactful, goal-setting video. And just because you watched this whole thing and I want to show you a little bit of my appreciation, and I know that you want to live life on your terms and as your true self because you watched this whole thing, I want to give you a discount. I want to give you a discount on the goal-setting video that I've created. And click the link down below and you can go ahead and get that exclusive offer just for listening to the whole podcast. And you can get some money knocked off on that total price. And you can go ahead and set your goals for the next 6 months. And you can feel empowered by your goals and really believe that you're going to achieve those goals. And at the end, you'll go out knowing that you can achieve your goals that you've been wanting to achieve. And you will achieve your goals in the next 6 months. But it all starts with you. It all starts with you pressing that link down below. It all starts with you taking control of your life, living life on your terms, living life as your true self. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. Go ahead and DM me on Instagram. You already know where to find me. Midway Vibes on Instagram. Feel free to message me any questions that you have. And if you're ready to take control of your life and live life on your terms, go ahead and click that link down below and you can go ahead and get started on setting your goals for the next 6 months. Hey, what is going on? I want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to tune in, to listen in. You don't know how much it means to me and how much I truly appreciate you for this. But I also want to ask a favor of you, that if you found any value in this, or if it impacted you in any way, I want you to share this with someone. Share it with multiple people if you can, so it can impact them just like it impacted you. Because we all deserve to live as our true self and live life on our terms. That is what it's all about. So go ahead and share this with them, tag them in it, and while you're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so we can stay caught up and you can never miss a video. And I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and message me on Instagram. You can find my Instagram at Midway Vibes, no space, just Midway Vibes. You can find me there. You can go ahead and message me. I want to hear from you. And I cannot wait to be back again. This is only goodbye for now. Continue living as your true self and have an amazing day. Peace out, baby.